In this section of the course, we're going to be covering vulnerabilities and attacks against our enterprise networks and systems. Now, vulnerabilities refer to weaknesses or flaws in hardware, software, configurations, or processes within a computer system, network, or application that could be exploited by malicious entities. These weaknesses may allow unauthorized access, data breaches, system disruptions, or other forms of compromise to occur, and that can compromise the security and integrity of our targeted system or network. Now, attacks, in the context of cybersecurity, are deliberate actions or activities that are carried out by threat actors with the intent to exploit vulnerabilities in a computer system, network, or application. These actions can take lots of different forms, including unauthorized access, data theft, malware infections, denial of service attacks, social engineering, or other types of activities aimed at compromising the confidentiality, integrity, or availability of our digital assets. Cyber attacks can have significant consequences for us, ranging from financial losses to reputational damage and legal ramifications. Now, understanding the potential vulnerabilities and attacks that are used by malicious actors is fundamental to implementing effective security controls to help us better safeguard our digital assets. So, in this section of the course, we'll be focused on Domains 2 and Domain 4. Now, here we're going to be talking about the coverage of Objectives 2.2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5, and 4.1. Now, Objective 2.2 states that you have to be able to explain common threat vectors and attack strategies. Objective 2.3 states that you must be able to explain various types of vulnerabilities. Objective 2.4 states that given a scenario, you must be able to analyze indicators of malicious activity. Objective 2.5 states that you must be able to explain the purpose of mitigation techniques used to secure the enterprise. And Objective 4.1 states that given a scenario, you must be able to apply common security techniques to computing resources. So first, we're going to be covering hardware vulnerabilities, and here we'll be focused on system firmware, whether it's an end-of-life, legacy, or unsupported system or application, whether you have missing patches or not, and if there's any misconfigurations. Once these vulnerabilities are identified, we'll also be covering how you can fix them by hardening the system, patching it, enforcing your baseline configurations, decommissioning old and insecure assets, and creating isolation or segmentation for your devices. When we refer to hardware here, we are talking about all kinds of hardware, including servers, workstations, laptops, switches, routers, network appliances, mobile devices, and the entire Internet of Things. Next, we're going to cover Bluetooth vulnerabilities and attacks. Here, we're going to be focused on the different vulnerabilities inside of Bluetooth, and specifically looking at 5 different types of Bluetooth-based attacks, including blue snarfing, blue jacking, blue bugging, blue smark, and blue-borne attacks. Then, we'll take a look at mobile vulnerabilities and attacks, including sideloading, jailbreaking, and insecure connection methods like Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to an unknown source. We'll also discuss methods to mitigate these vulnerabilities, including patch management, mobile device management solutions, and preventing sideloading and rooting of your devices. After that, we're going to cover zero-day vulnerabilities. Now, a zero-day vulnerability is often referred to as simply a zero-day, and it's a type of software or hardware vulnerability that's discovered and exploited by malicious actors before the vendor or developer of the affected system has had the opportunity to release a patch or fix for it. In other words, it's a security flaw that is 0 days old because it is newly discovered and unaddressed. Zero-day vulnerabilities are particularly dangerous because there are no known defenses or mitigations against them, which makes them valuable tools for cybercriminals and state-sponsored hackers to launch attacks with. Once a zero-day vulnerability becomes public knowledge, it is no longer considered a zero-day because security measures and patches can now be developed to mitigate the risk of that vulnerability. Next, we're going to explore operating system vulnerabilities, including unpatched systems, 0 days, misconfigurations, data exfiltration, and malicious updates, as well as how we can protect against these vulnerabilities through patching, configuration management, encryption of data at rest, installing endpoint protection, utilizing host-based firewalls, implementing host-based IPSs, configuring access controls and permissions, and requiring the use of application allow listing. Then we'll discuss SQL and XML injections. An SQL injection is a type of cyber attack that exploits vulnerabilities in web applications or databases. During an SQL injection attack, malicious input is going to be inserted into user inputs or queries, and this allows the attackers to manipulate and execute unintended structured query language or SQL commands within the application's database. An XML injection, on the other hand, is also known as an XPath injection, and it's considered to be a security vulnerability that targets web applications that process XML data or extensible markup language data. Now, in an XML injection attack, an attacker can manipulate XML input to exploit vulnerabilities in the application's XML parsing or processing mechanisms. This can then lead to unauthorized access, data exposure, or other malicious actions within that web application. After that, we're going to conduct a demonstration of how to conduct an SQL injection attack so you can understand what they look like and how they're performed and what you should be looking for as a cybersecurity professional when somebody is attacking you with an SQL injection. Next, we're going to cover cross-site scripting and cross-site request forgery attacks. Now, a cross-site scripting attack, or XSS, is a type of web security vulnerability where a malicious script is injected into a web page that's viewed by other users, typically through a user-generated content, to execute unauthorized actions in their browsers. Cross-site request forgeries, or XSRF, is another type of web security exploit, but this one is going to focus on an attacker trying to trick a user into unknowingly performing an action on a different website without their consent to potentially cause unintended or harmful actions to be executed in the user's context of that particular site. Then, we're going to dive into the world of buffer overflows. Now, a buffer overflow is a software vulnerability that occurs when a program writes more data to a memory buffer than that memory buffer can hold, and this potentially allows malicious code to overwrite adjacent memory and then execute arbitrary commands or cause the program to crash. After that, we're going to dive into race conditions. Now, a race condition is a software vulnerability that occurs when multiple processes or threads are in a concurrent system trying to access a shared resource or data simultaneously. And this can lead to unpredictable and unintended outcomes due to the timing and order of the execution. Here, we're going to be covering some key terms like time of check, target of evaluation, and time of use as they relate to race conditions too. Finally, we're going to take a short quiz to see what you learned during this section of the course and review each of those quiz questions fully to ensure you can explain each answer and why it was right. So, if you're ready, let's jump into the world of vulnerabilities and attacks in this section of the course.